Greetings. Don't forget to hit the bell for all notifications if you haven't done so already. Imagine your favorite car, but you are driving on the roof, wind, dust and flies in your face. Introduced. Let's aggravate the picture. The speed is under 200, a blizzard, -30. The wind rips off the skin, but you are still on the hood. Well, aren't you crazy? The car was created as a protective cocoon for movement in space. Steel shell, soft chairs with adjustments, climate control, music and even cup holders. The outside world doesn't matter if you're inside. Even if it's -40 or +60 overboard, even if it's raining, even though it's snowing and windy, you're not just protected, you're in comfort. Only a psycho can refuse such conditions and get out. Let's consider another example. House. Beautiful, solid, with all the benefits that you can imagine. Your car, even a business class one, is nowhere near in terms of comfort and spaciousness. There is no toilet and bath in the car, you can't cook food in it, you can't stretch to your full height. As the saying goes, my home is my castle. The heating, ventilation, sewerage system, electrical substation and autonomous water supply, all this is in the house. Do not forget the floor heating, TV, spacious rooms with panoramic windows, a refrigerator full of yummy, a dining room and even a fireplace. Here you don't really care what's outside the window. Not like cold or heat, but at least a volcanic eruption or a flood. If the car is designed to spend a few hours in it, then you can live in the house for years without going outside, well, if suddenly Armageddon. But there is one oddity in this house, its owner, that is, you, climbed onto the roof and live there. The house is just stuffed with amenities, but you never leave the roof. November, chilly to the bone rains, Epiphany frosts, July heat with mosquitoes and dust storms cannot drive you off the roof. Neighbors twist their fingers to their temples and take pictures of you on the phone, but you think they are crazy because morons live inside their houses. And what is there to be surprised? If a psycho drives outside the car, then he should live outside the house. We will return to the psycho later, but now let's think about who taught people to live in houses. People ripped off the idea from nature. As you know, the universe skillfully builds houses in the form of galaxies, planets or cells. Moreover, the universe is a fractal, that is, in a large form it looks the same as in a small one, which is confirmed even by the set of cabbage. Consider the largest house in the universe, the galaxy. Trillions of stars revolve around the mystical core center. Who spins the stars, no one knows. Solar system. Each star is surrounded by planets, thus being a smaller copy of the galaxy. Who spun the planets around the core star is also shrouded in mystery. Notice that by decreasing the angle of view, we see a repeat of the system, like on cabbage. In other words, inside the house galaxy there are many small houses of solar systems. Please note that the galaxy and the solar system are disc-shaped, but starting from planets and smaller, all fractals are already spherical. Remember this oddity, we will return to it later. The planet sphere, in turn, is the center core of rotation for satellites with the same unanswered questions. The planet is divided into continents, those into countries, those into cities, into regions and houses within which people live. Their bodies are also broken down into systems that are made up of organs. So, we pointed the telescope at the galaxy and began to quickly zoom in until we hit the human eye, which looks like a damn galaxy, as if it hadn't been zoomed in. Organs, in turn, consist of tissues, and those of cells, which also copy the principle of the galaxy. This is a human cell. A sphere that exactly copies our planet, but with one fundamental difference. No one lives on its surface, but inside, under a protective shell, the cell is stuffed with all sorts of things, and with a mandatory attribute in the center, the core. The nucleus is made up of molecules of the most bizarre shapes, and those, in turn, are made up of atoms. This is an atom. A sphere that copies both our planet and a human cell. Atoms are not the limit, it turns out they also consist of a nucleus and a bunch of all sorts of garbage. Uncles with glasses agree to call them electrons, protons and neutrons, flying at a frantic speed around the center nucleus, continuing to torment us with the question, Who is it after all controls all these forces? As you guessed, it is possible to split electrons, and so to infinity bring the microscope closer, making sure that the universe always looks the same in both large and small, that is, it is fractal. Thus, there is no point in a telescope, because the universe repeats itself telescopically. We get an important conclusion: by studying the cell, we learn the structure of the universe. And if so, let's take a closer look at the cell, the more it is convenient for us with its size. Take a closer look, how much it looks like a planet. Unless no one lives on its surface, all the most valuable is securely hidden inside. A cell can even be compared to a house. And what? There is a strong shell to protect against external danger, and a kitchen, and a boiler room, and even a toilet. But the most important thing is the center. The core, which is the brain of the whole system, and mind you, system's closed. She is self-sufficient and autonomous, and she decides who to let in and out through the doors. The universe builds its nesting dolls not just thoughtfully, it does it brilliantly. All houses are impregnable from the outside and comfortable inside. Our ancestors, knowing perfectly the structure of the universe, also built reliable houses. For example, they surrounded cities with a stone wall and lived inside, not outside. Yes, people. Any bird, as part of nature, builds a nest and lives inside it. Mice take a mink and live inside it. Worms, snakes, crayfish, foxes, bears live inside their houses. Not a single living being lives on the surface of his hole, unlike the 7 billion psychotics who have set up on the roof of their house. On the roof of the earth, protected by the thinnest layer of air, which, according to all the laws of physics, should have long been blown away by the tail of some comet. It turns out that the Supreme Mind created a brilliant universe, but screwed up when creating the earth. After all, the earth is a cell, only for some reason it is inhabited from the outside. Why were we put on the roof of the house? Why are we rushing at incredible speed on the roof of the planet through the deadly icy space, breaking our foreheads on ice blocks, stones and other space debris? Why not settle us inside a closed system with an armored shell and a brain core inside, which will control temperature, humidity, ventilation, give us water, food and light? Wait, maybe it's not the higher mind screwed up, maybe it's us who were led to believe that we live outside the cage? As you know, Allah repeated 100 times turns into the truth. Since kindergarten, we have been hammered into our heads with pictures from outer space. How many times have we seen this screensaver before watching a movie? How many satellite photos have shown us? How many astronauts have told us about the blue balloon? How many revolutions did the school globe make before the teacher told us that this was our home? Try to doubt here that we do not live on the roof of the house. And how many people were burned alive while they were determining the geometric shape of celestial bodies, and what revolves around what? Many scientists were killed, but they still did not begin to rewrite the true version of the structure of the earth. And here's the paradox. The country of atheists abruptly came to believe, but stick your nose into the Bible, they will laugh. Genesis chapter 1:3. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. There is already light, but there is no sun. 5. And God called the light day, and the darkness night. What day? 6. And God said, "Let there be a firmament." What else is a firm? 7. And God made the firmament, and separated the water that was under the firmament from the water that was above the firmament. 8. And God called the firmament sky. The sky is solid. 14. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to separate the day from the night, and for signs, and times, and days, and years." Why is the firmament not melted by the sun? 15. And let them be lamps in the firmament of heaven, to give light to the earth. And it became so. What does lights mean? 16. And God created 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the smaller light to rule the night, and the stars. And what emitted light before the creation of the luminaries? 17. And God set them in the firmament of heaven to shine upon the earth. The Bible stubbornly insists on firm 18 and rule over the day and night, and separate the light from the darkness. and God saw that it was good. As we can see, the biblical creation of the world is a complete absurdity from the point of view of official science, but pure truth from the point of view of the hollow earth. The Bible insists that the lamps are sealed to one firmament, therefore, the distance to the sun, the moon and all the stars is the SAME. In addition, they are so small that they are placed on the firmament, which closes the earth from the upper water. What is the sun, nuclear megabomb, not burn the firmament, and what kind of water is above the firmament? Like, how should the vacuum of space be there? The textbook of astronomy flies into the trash can. The wise men will now begin to spit saliva. They say that everything is written allegorically and figuratively. Stop clinging to words. Wait a minute. So, the origin of billions of Chinese, blacks and whites from the incest of two Nagas is the norm, and the firmament of heaven with lamps is a metaphor? Well. Society has been immersed in a marinade of lies, but some people still wake up and try, if not to wake up, then at least to sow a seed in the subconscious of society that the world is not at all like the lizards tell us. And if we do not know where we live, then all other knowledge no longer matters, because a house is not built without a foundation. Now that we have suspected something wrong with astronomy, let's get back to our fractals. Let's put them in decreasing order and notice one oddity: the galaxy and the solar system are disc-shaped, while all other fractals are spherical. The unpleasant conclusion suggests itself that we have been deceived on a galactic scale. The first two drawings are completely out of the concept of fractals, which means they are falsified, which means we have no idea what real space looks like outside the Earth. So, now let's train all our imagination and imagine where we actually live. This is a sphere protected by a very strong shell. All continents and oceans are located inside the ball, in the center of which, as it should be for fractals, there is a core, which we see as a blue sky during the day and as a starry one at night. The sun, moon, all planets and stars revolve around the core. The most interesting thing is that the sun does not in any way affect the change of winter and summer, but even more fun is that sunrises and sunsets also do not depend on the illumination of the sun. But we'll talk about this later. To summarize, life on the surface of planets is impossible and contradicts the concept of a fractal universe. Not only are there no conditions for this, but it is foolish to create them outside. Even our brains are inside the skull, but if they are outside, it is a corpse. No one was going to settle people on the roof of the house. The same thousands of meteorites per second will erase life, never letting it begin. No atmosphere can resist such shelling, frost and radiation. In fact, the Soviet luminaries of science proved in the last century where we live, but the system guards itself perfectly. Of course, it is hard to realize how badly we have been deceived, if not more rudely, but now we will have to turn the globe inside out, like consciousness. Check it out for yourself and be happy. That's all I wish you. Take care, I love you.